What's up everybody, this is Nightwing2303 from SneakerFiles.com. Today we're coming at you with another performance review on the LeBron 8 postseason. So without wasting too much of your time, let's get right into it. So as usual, we're going to start off with the bottom of the shoe and its traction base. It's pretty similar as far as the pattern goes. It's just a little bit different between the V1, V2, and the postseason. The main difference is that the overlapping herringbone here is a lot wider and more dispersed versus the V1 that is a lot much closer together. So there's the two differences there between the V1 and the postseason. This shoe and most shoes nowadays are geared towards a specific type of player. So this is obviously a LeBron James shoe, so it's geared towards players that play like him. Unfortunately, I don't play like him, so I'm a lot smaller than he is. I'm also a completely different position. He's a forward position, whereas I'm a guard position. So a shoe like this just doesn't work for me usually on the traction portion. Being a guard. If you're a forward or even a center, this actually might work perfectly for you. The traction from front to back is absolutely fantastic, just as it was in the version 1. However, I was still having issues with the outrigger due to the lack of traction and this really weird cut here. Again, I still really don't like this, so I'm really hoping that for future shoes that if they keep doing the outriggers, that they put something in there that's not some design, because it just doesn't do the job the way that it should. And then the other portion that I was having an issue with was right here on the ball of the foot, mostly when I was coming around a screen or if I was going to start, and I actually use the outsides of my feet quite often, being a guard. So when I am going around the screen, I'm curling, and this section here, I just kept getting a lot of slippage. I was getting very uncomfortable, I guess you could say, while I was going around those screens. And even when I'm handling the ball, if I'm at the point guard spot and I go to maneuver or do a quick crossover, those quick movements are not keeping me planted on the floor the way that I would in a shoe more oriented towards guards. So for a forward and up, in the position ranks, this shoe would be, pretty much perfect. For me personally, being a guard position, the traction just didn't do it in the areas that I need it to. But I'm not going to say that the traction was awful. It just did not work for me personally. The cushioning on the LeBron 8 postseason is pretty darn good. I will actually give the winning score, I guess you could say, to the version 1 and 2 with the full-length airbag, which is rare for me to say because I'm a Zoom Air fanatic, but we'll just break it down as is. Again, you have Phylon under and over the 360 bag, or actually this isn't even a 360 bag, this is a 180 bag, and in the forefoot here you have Zoom Air all the way across, so it's a full-length Zoom Air bag. Full length just means from left to right. It doesn't mean full length. And so the heel impact and absorption was absolutely fantastic. It felt great. If you have not worn a pair of LeBron 8s yet, you have to go try them on because it's ridiculously comfortable, especially with the extra Phylon underneath the airbag, which makes all the difference in the world in my opinion. The forefoot area with the Zoom Air, I was actually excited to have a Zoom Air Air Max combo. In this particular situation, I actually felt that it wasn't, as nice as it could have been, mostly because of the insole, which is that ortholite stuff, so it's very spongy, and this actually, your foot really sinks into it. So this itself, by itself, is pretty spongy and bouncy already, which kind of canceled out that spongy, bouncy effect that the Zoom Air will give you. So, personally, I actually liked the LeBron 8 V1 and V2 better, due to the fact that they use the same exact insoles. But because that's where most of your comfort is coming from, that step-in comfort right when you try on the shoe. It wasn't all bad. It's doing its job. It's absorbing a lot of your forefoot impact and everything like that, and still gives you a little bit more responsiveness than an Air Max bag would. I just couldn't really feel it. It's kind of hard to explain, but I couldn't feel it as much as if there would have been just a regular basic insole in there, where there's more contact between the bottom of your foot and the top of the Zoom Air bag, whereas with an insole like the Ortholite, you have quite a bit of cushioning in between your foot and the Zoom bag, which kind of canceled out the whole thing. But other than that, I thought the cushioning setup was almost perfect. I still would just, I still prefer the V1 and the V2 as far as cushion goes, but you know, it's definitely not a bad idea to have a combo forefoot Zoom and heel Air Max bag. That's how they used to do it in some of the best shoes that's ever been made, primarily the Air Penny line, where they had the heel Air Max bag and the forefoot Zoom Air all the way from the Zoom Penny 1 to, or not Zoom Penny 1, but the Air Max Penny 1 and all the way to the Air Penny 4. So that's a brief breakdown on the cushioning of the shoe. Insides, it still has that gray foam, just like the V1 and the V2. So that, again, gives you a little bit more cushion, I guess you could say. Overall, it's very comfortable from its first try-on. It's just on the court, I could not feel the Zoom Air as much as I would have liked to. So breathability on the shoe is pretty straightforward. You have your Fuse composite upper with all of the perforated mesh key areas all the way around the forefoot, on both sides of the side panels, and then around your ankle collar lining area, as well as the full-length inner sleeve that is completely mesh. So breathability on this shoe is a huge upgrade compared to the V1. The V2, it was still pretty good, but the postseasons here, they're just, you know, you can't really beat Fuse upper materials as far as breathability is concerned. In my opinion, it just, I mean, you have huge holes in your shoe. How can that not be better than perforations throughout? Basically, at the end of the night when I take these off, my feet were still, you know, moderately sweaty from playing and everything, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the V1, where it was just, the heat was so contained in there, it was ridiculous. But, you know, that's what it is on the breathability section. Again, it's pretty straightforward. You have your Fuse composite upper with mesh in between everything, so breathability on this shoe, in my opinion, just was not a huge issue. It was actually a non-factor. So breathability, you don't have to worry about it. The shoe basically takes care of itself, and all you have to do is go out there and play. So the entire fit of this shoe, to me, it just wasn't as great as what you found in the V1 and the V2. The main reasons, in my opinion, have been the lack of padding in the heel and collar lining area, which really help contain your foot, especially in the rear section, and then the lack of padding found in the mesh one-piece sleeve all the way into the toe box area. If you have a V1 or V2, slide your hand inside the shoe and kind of feel up on this section of the toe box, and you'll feel a lot more padding than you would in this version here. The fit was okay, you know, it wasn't anything special. The forefoot is where I was having a lot of problems with it. I think that I have a narrow foot because this happens quite often in a lot of the different shoes that I've been wearing lately, where when you lace them up, this is exactly how I took my foot out. I just loosen up the top edge, it laces up here, but this is this bow here is what I've been getting in a lot of the most recent Nike releases as far as their performance line goes. So my forefoot was sliding around quite a bit. I just couldn't contain it. You know, the V1, you had the flywire panel right here. It's still, you know, it provided a good containment on this section, but because there was a little bit of extra padding here from the inner sleeve, I was able to keep my foot contained in there much nicer than in something like this. Materials also have something to do with it, because this is very malleable, it's very flexible, whereas this fuse upper, if you have a pair of fuses, it's very flexible, but it's still kind of stiff at the same time. So this is exactly what my shoe looked like while I was playing in them. I had that nice little bow right in the toe box area, so my forefoot was just not contained as it usually was in the V1. Even with the, the style that they use for the cut around the eyelets, which is, still better than nothing, to kind of help wrap around certain sections of your foot. It just wasn't doing it properly, in my opinion, or on my foot in the forefoot section. So another thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is, because the flywire panels were removed, to me personally, I just didn't feel like that made a huge factor in its fit or performance. Mostly it was just the padding. And in the V1, I actually was able to lace them right here in that top eyelid on the 8 right there. And they were able to fit perfectly. With this particular one, I had to go down a notch just to get my ankle and heel drawn back into the heel cup area to get that nice heel lockdown to help me, secure my foot and prevent a possible ankle injury. So that might not happen with everybody. It might just be my foot shape, but these are the things that I've experienced with the shoe. The fit on this shoe, it just wasn't as great as the previous 2 versions. So take that into consideration. Nothing beats going in and trying on a shoe in person. I understand that a lot of you guys just don't have that opportunity, so hopefully this will give you a decent idea as far as what the fit is going to be like on this shoe. So my overall final thoughts on the sneaker: traction, it was good. However, if you are a 1 or 2 guard, I would look for something different, mainly because of the lack of traction in the outrigger, and also the little curl that you get on the outside of the forefoot here. It's just not ideal for a guard position, in my opinion, from what I have experienced. The cushioning setup, the heel area is absolutely perfect, no complaints there. The forefoot, again, couldn't really feel the Zoom Air that much because of the Ortholite sock liner, but that's completely up to the person, and that's just, again, what I've experienced. The fit on the shoe was the major drawback for me. I'd actually prefer the V1 or the V2 as far as their fit goes. Durability and breathability speaks for itself. Fuse upper, very durable, also very breathable, and other than that, I thought it was a pretty decent shoe. However, it's very, very player oriented. So, which is the main thing with a lot of the sneakers coming out nowadays from Nike and a bunch of the other brands as well, is that they tend to cater towards a specific type of player per shoe. So a Kobe shoe, for example, would be geared more towards a guard, whereas the LeBron is geared more towards a forward or more big man position. Other than that, it's good for what it is. It just did not work for me personally, but if you are not a guard, I wouldn't really worry about that stuff too much, and I'd go cop these and have a good time playing in them. So that's pretty much my overall thoughts of the sneaker. As a guard position, I will say that I would pick the V1 or V2 over the postseason. Alright guys, so that's pretty much the review on the LeBron 8 postseason. I hope that you guys enjoyed. We will be back with more performance reviews later on. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out SneakerFiles.com. So until next time guys, see you later.